Let there be peace and love. Welcome to Satsang. What an extreme luck to realize that one's real nature is not samsaric, is not phenomenal. For that, you see, if it is not so, looking like so, one has to dedicate a real moment, and we speak of a moment because of the time and the space we are used to move in. We have to dedicate a moment completely alone. I mean, without attaching oneself to any movement of the appearance, any movement of the mind. Let it be in the shape of senses, emotions, or thoughts. Because it's always there. Real nature, that is the main difference with all what is born and dies. It's always there. You don't escape, it is there. You are just not used to not hook yourself at the time and space because of ignorance, beliefs, attachments, desire with this belief that I will get more happiness or peace if I go through some direction. So it's a matter of, for a moment, and that moment is always available. It's now, just now, to keep quiet, not as a state, I mean by that, not to keep a thing. And hearing also that this is the most precious, because it will not be recognized by the normal values of the mind, by the conceptual mind. It will not be recognized. The realization is not a recognition. Can be said it's a self-revelation. For that, of course, you have to need, want, and desire to realize it, to know your real nature. When I say know, it's not with the mind. And that will make a way to hear that it is nowhere else than your own most intimate core of what you cannot even catch, because you are it. So it is not by learning, it is by unhooking at learnings. But one has to desire it. It has to be the most important task of this incarnation, Otherwise, I tell you, and you must know it, the samsara, the phenomenal world, is only busyness. One is busy. One is busy. Let it be uninteresting things, let it be extremely interesting things. One needs absolutely to feed oneself with something to keep this personal existence. So, the absolute one-pointed need, thirst for it, will create circumstances, the wisdom to understand that one has to dedicate some time, and it will bring the proper environment, place, to hear what is needed to hear. And you see, for that you have to plunge in with your two legs. You cannot keep one leg in what you know from yourself, and another leg to the so-called unknown that you may experience sometimes. It's a plunge with one leg, enfin, two legs becoming. And the particularity is that realizing what you are, it has a name, it has a description, it is said it's non-dual. It's non-dual. So it is not the world of duality, of separation, differences that we know through the mind and senses. It is non-dual. And that's why it doesn't depend on time. It is first, time is a step farther. And yet, everything doesn't have the feeling of separation once you know your real nature. Non-dual it is. That cannot be experienced actually. It comes with realization. But good to know, because if you are ever in a state where there is still I and you, or I and an object, or I and an inner object which is a state, let it be spiritual, it's dual. It's not it. That's it. Any unclarity, it's very important to be clear also, though clarity is not realization, but it's very important because it gives sharp discrimination and more fire to go for the real thing. So you have to be clear, you have not to keep confusion in the mind. I see everyone in deep samadhi. But even if you are in deep samadhi, it's not it. but maybe the non-questioning, the state of keeping quiet, as one advantage to one day realize, oh, I know what's going on, so it cannot be it. And then there is only not even a step, a blink of an eye, just to free yourself from that I who is in samadhi. You see, you cannot be in samadhi if you are already not knowing that it's not objective and that you know what is to keep quiet, but as a subject. So it's already the path of one can be in samadhi because of negation, can reach that state, you see? Still it happens to someone. Even if that someone takes the shape of nobody, be careful. Who knows that there is nobody? You have no escape. Mm-hmm. You have only one escape when you have no experience. And so, no experience cannot happen to I.
What is samadhi?
Ah, yes, samadhi is a state of, not, yeah. Could you help me? I know what it is, but it's just, let me see, and then I know very well, but what can I say? What's the difference between? It's the state of non-objectification. It was not there before, it suddenly appeared, and it will disappear if you don't enter in it through effort or through practice, which doesn't look an effort in the end, but so it comes and goes. It's a state. Maybe you have a better way. What is samadhi in Sanskrit? The translation? No translation. Okay, no translation.
The state of no movement of the mind.
Anyway, it's a state because it was not there before and it happened. You see, realization, it looks also like, oh, it was not there before and it happened, but then it's not realization. Realization is a word to indicate that suddenly, in the contrary, oh, you have always been what is. There was never a time, there will never be a time where you cannot be it. So it's different. And on top of it, there is no movement of the mind, and there is all the movements of the mind also. So samadhi is only non-movement of the mind. It's the opposite of what one knows in the ordinary world.
Last satsang talking about delay.
Yeah.
I've been observing that denying what I'm not, and even sometimes not listening to the mind, has become such an habit that keeps me so comfortable, so okay, because I deny easily what I'm not, and when mind brings something that I don't want.
You mean you deny? When you say deny, you should say of what you think you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I'm not.
Yes, true.
So it has become such an habit that
Yeah.
I think I'm delaying. I keep delaying it because it keeps me so comfortable.
Yeah, because you forgot to deny one, the subject. So the subject becomes quite comfortable in the sense that he knows he's a good student, he knows he does his work properly, but you see, there is a question there, and there is an experience, a feeling there of comfort, or something must be wrong there, because the subject has not been denied, and you cannot deny the subject by the subject. So you have just not to keep the subject with you.
When you say subject, is this the I?
I'm coming. Please. When I say
the subject, this is the I?
yeah.
Or is this also the observer of the I?
Ah. You see, the I, he wants so much to maintain its existence that he will create many I. Still I, the observer of the I. If you still believe that an answer, an observation is needed. Otherwise, make it simpler. You observe things, it's your thing to observe. You are an observer. Okay, now. So you are attached to the observation to keep your existence of an observer. Yeah? Okay. Now the observer becomes the observation. To realize yourself don't link yourself to any observation. And keep quiet.
Because I can see my mind.
You
as
come
a
back to
question.
I.
Yeah.
You have not followed me. Or you followed me, but somehow the mind came to say, cannot be. Okay, I hear your mind. Tell me.
I can see my mind asking questions. Is it still the I? Is seeing the mind asking questions?
If you know the non-value of the mind, you will just keep quiet where you are always. You don't need your observation of anything. Because otherwise, as I said, you will create endless observers. You see, never forget, you are that. You are what is. Now that itself created I by its own expression. Actually, you always say I because you believe that the object is real, I is real, everything of this appearance is real. But in fact, you could simply say everything, including this I, is in me. That's what I am. And you then don't create infinite, more subtle I. Your consciousness itself, in the sense of awareness, in the sense of the self, it's up to you to always reply, I do this, or okay, this person does this, I say I for the convenience in the world, but actually, I always have been what is aware of I doing something. So it will not be by an answer from your mind or my answer to your mind. Because if you always reply or always doubt, who is doubting? You see, it's always, even if you observe, I have been observing, it again you come back to I. You are not obliged to reply with your mind. It's a choice. The mind is multiplication itself. So, know it. Generally, we understand what is multiplication from I to multiplied object, but it's also multiplication from I, the person I knew, and I, more and more subtle, even to nobody. So don't rely on any answer or description. No.
Ganga. I repeat something in my life that is causing a lot of pain and trouble, and I cannot really solve that. And I just wish to put this onto my fire to...
Yes. Yes, very good. Discrimination gets better. Very good. Yeah. But it means, you see, that you put on fire. Now you put a part of the mind, but you can put the whole mind in it. Because it's a bit like the head of the gorgon, you know that, gorgon? You can cut one head, but then it comes back in some other shape maybe, but it comes back. If you don't cut off with I, the subject to whom all those things happen, it will come back from its ashes. Yes. That's what we really have to be clear about. Because you see, the delay is that we may be serious, we may have fire, but we are still busy with different experiences. And to, okay, at some point negate them, put them in the fire for freedom. But still it is all the dresses of I. And I is not touched as such. It has to disappear as a concept of reality. It has to. And it's easy because you see, when you see, one always speak of I. What I am in reality, I cannot even speak about. Why? Because it cannot be objectified. But I am all the time objectifying. I say I all the time. So it is an objectification. You have to see that. You are not obliged to believe that you have to start everything with that objectification. It's a step too much, which creates this suffering, this search, I would say. Because it's a pain, this search. It's a pain. Yeah.
I think I also wait for some kind of experience that kicks me so much that there's no way out.
What will kick you so much will be when you don't wait for an experience. Because is it possible for I am born, which is already an experience, is it possible for I to show up?
To rise, to show up?
Mm.
It shows up, yes.
It shows up with something. It always shows up with something. You cannot say I and it doesn't mean anything. And if it doesn't mean anything, there is no problem. There is nothing. I always means something. There is a concept there. And the basic concept, even if you don't say it all the time, once was enough, I'm born. Because it means, oh, what's born? Body, mind, whatever is linked to that is born. And when you analyze with a microscope, then you see that, oh my God, it means a lot of things. I'm not what I can see, I'm not what I can describe. I'm not what I can feel, I am not what I can know. And that's why when you go there, of course the mind will say, but who am I then? And know that the answer will not be, I don't know. The answer lies where this question itself disappears. Keep right there. Don't make anything out of that. It is that direction at least. I think I will change my vocabulary because this keeping quiet brings so much everybody to a state. And yeah, maybe better to say don't make anything from here when you are devoid of things. Ever. Don't make it a something. Ever. You know where it leads you otherwise. You know where it leads you.
What you told in the beginning about the two legs.
The
The two legs. I think
what is two legs?
one leg here and one
Ah, the
leg.
Yes.
So I see that one of my legs is hanging in the air and I cannot put it anywhere.
So which one is in trouble? The one on the earth or the one in the air?
No, one in the satsang and one is looking for a place.
No, I
That's
think
the
it's
trouble.
more different. Satsang is in the air. You cannot put it somewhere.
Yes.
And the other one is rooted in something you know and looks real. So what? You want... Don't have legs then, it's easier. It will not do, you see, to have two mistress, or how you say for men, two misters. It will be not possible. You have to make a point that I choose this incarnation because you see, it's already such a blessing, maybe you don't realize it, to be in satsang, where you speak of something absolutely non-objective, absolutely ungraspable, and absolutely unknown, and yet you are attracted. It is very special. Of course, the finger says, you are very lucky. You don't know why, maybe, but you are extremely lucky. Because that will give end to your incarnations. Means you can even take every thought as an incarnation. To be free, to be tyrannized by a thought. It's such unheard luck. Okay? So, you are here. You even quit everything to be in satsang. So what does it mean to have another interest? Your life, since we don't die so at once it looks, you will have a life, you have a life, which will bring whatever is linked to that life by birth. You want it or not. You see? Already maybe it is seen with the talents you have. Maybe the talents will disappear on its own or in the contrary blossom on its own. It's not up to you. It will be done anyway. Anyway. So why to have two worries? I said in the beginning, the samsara, the phenomenal world, is time and space. So time and space keep together only if there is only busyness, activities. You're busy, one is busy.
Yes, so
Busy.
far I was living in busyness, in doing this, doing that.
That's
creating
why
this,
I
that.
impose some satsang in those life of those who are here. What a luck! Because even in a no man's land nearly, where there is no distraction, one is extremely busy because it's the nature of time, of the time and space. Yeah? So, dedicate this time. At least when you come to satsang, leave your mind with your shoes. This is the ABC of satsang. Huh? Okay. So, there you have no legs. It is with the shoes. Now, more and more, when this kind of satsang, outwardly satsang, is gone, you may slowly go back to phenomenal world. But I tell you, if your attraction, because you understand also, not only it's how to say, instinctive attraction for this, but now also your mind, even the mind, realizes, oh my God, what I hear is enormous, ending the tyranny of the mind. It's possible. You see? So even this understanding will give you more fire, and it will give color to your so-called phenomenal world which still exists. You have to allow that, but for that you have to honor why you came for, more than the rest. Of course, the mind gets busy in the world, has to arrange things and so on. But let it not be like, let it flow in this river which has a bed as satsang. The bed is satsang. Let it flow as a river, even though there are stones here and there, but let it flow. I mean by that, put the root of all things in your real self, even if it is still a search for you. But you have that trust.
Yes, I try so much to put all my energies here.
Yes, then no problem.
And somewhere it escapes.
You know, you don't need 24 hours trying to only think of that. It's inhuman. It's better one real moment than many small here and there toffees of that moment. A real moment. And then the rest is sandwich from self, okay, this life, self, instead of making the sandwich otherwise. Life, self. What a bad sandwich. No, really. You start from satsang, go to the world, your world, come back to satsang, and one day that difference will go. Yeah? Yeah. And anyway, I tell you, don't expect this time to look like the self. The time is time. It will always appear busy, phenomenal, that you are free or not. Because realization doesn't happen to someone. And this itself is the expression of the self, that for you now it's samsaric or not. It's just the mind who sees those things like that.
There is this peace here, and I can fall into it, and it gives me then also more rest, and it's just this peace here, and I just would like to ask you if this also a state, this peace, which is here, which is
It's a circumstantial peace. Means, unless you tell me differently, you said here, you meant geographically.
no here.
Ah. Here. Then, where did you put the question? Must have been out of peace, no?
Yes.
Real peace, there is nothing out of peace. So did you prefer your question
No,
or you
sure.
prefer peace?
I prefer peace.
So don't ask the question.
Yes. Yes.
But you see, when you say peace, obviously, and of course, it's what the mind makes out. It's like, oh, free from worries or even anything, freed. So, if you take your real nature for that, you will break your nose. Because where do you put then everything else? Where is it? Where do you put it?
So at the moment it's this.
No, but you can also, you reply and then I will listen. Where do you put the non-peace? Where do you put it?
It's an appearance of non-peace.
Okay. It's an appearance. And the peace?
It seems that it's always there, and I don't have to do something. It seems
And who says it seems? The peace or the non-peace?
this is the observer.
So now there
The
is.
I, because the I comes in the.
And you listen to I. You listen to the talk of the I.
Then again, yes. But I don't want it, so you would say fuck your mind.
Ganga, you always say the word, everything is an expression of the self. But this can only be when it's not at all touched by I. Otherwise, as soon as it's touched by I, it must be complete illusion. Isn't it?
It still can appear, huh? Even if it is an illusion. You speak of something which appears, but it has not the nature of reality. Yeah? But even I, when it appears, you realize your real nature, so you know also that I which appears is illusory regarding reality. But still it appears, till this body is alive. And I should add that in this appearance, which looks like quite okay to take everything as an appearance, but it means also it appears as bites in the body or pleasures. It appears as strong emotions or paradisiac emotions. It appears as thinking. So I find the mind losing its throne of reality. Yeah, so he's no more a tyrant. That is a big difference. While the body looks like behaving the same, and maybe the emotional heart. Yeah.
So before this I, there is nothing. Like before this manifestation, and time and space.
There is unmanifestation.
There is.
Unmanifestation.
It exists.
The manifestation appears because of the real nature of things, which is what you really are.
There is no manifestation.
It is unmanifested. And it manifests itself all the time.
All the time.
All the time. To the person who lives. Yeah.
Exactly. I cannot say it existed before I was born.
The view from the spiritual, how do you say?
What?
Vue de l'esprit.
What?
I don't know in English. It's part of the philosophies and thinking. You have to solve your problem, which is now. And then you will solve the rest automatically. You see, even when you sleep, but you forget, you will have the argument, yeah, but when I wake up, it is like it was when I left it and all. But you see, it's really like that. You believe that to realize oneself is to go to the other side to the other bank of the river, because this bank exists, but you can conceive there is another bank and so on. You see. So it is the same when you go to sleep. You have the thought, I go to sleep and I know I will wake up. It's always there. And those who don't have that, they cannot sleep. Except the wise. So what I mean is that we always base our life of the person on unquestionable concepts. So before my birth, I would ask you, before your birth, what was your original face before your birth?
Cannot exist any face. If the manifestation only appears as this, and I have no cannot say something existed before, then this manifestation. Of, I believe something must be permanent. I want to discriminate what I'm not.
Yes, to discriminate what you are not, that is self-inquiry. You have to negate everything which appears to you as reality. And let's see then what's next. You see? It's better than to try to have explanation of this universe or some new view of... You see, it will not help your real search. The real search looks so because you believe you are a body-mind, because you believe you are a person. So start with this. The experiences I have, they appear. I'm not it as this limited view or experience. I'm not it. You see, the Buddha said everything has the nature of the Buddha. And Sariputra, his disciple, was there at the time. He said, "Oh, so this bird, this is Buddha also? As Buddhahood?" He said, "No. And he didn't contradict himself. So that's why whatever is limited, whatever has a shape, a form, it's not it. That's why realization doesn't happen to a person. A person, a form, a shape, a name. And that's here now. You see, in the same way, in that context, the sentence, you will more appreciate this sentence, the master never dies. You know, you go to not an abstract master like that, the master you have known, for example, the guru. Called guru because he indicates what's real, only. Cannot do otherwise, he doesn't know what is not real. Okay, so he may have a shape for you because you still believe you have a shape. So that dies. Of course, that dies. But the master means the indication which is always alive when there is a demand. It's always alive because it's what is, which doesn't depend on time, so it's always there, you can say. That's alive. The master never dies. So like that, you see, we are not used to have that Advaitic eye, which is our own nature, or Advaitic language. We have been using the languages of the fools and believing them. So it doesn't matter. Today we decide not to. Hmm?
I wanted I so much
You want what?
to free myself of this mind,
Yes? Yes?
the whole thing.
Yes? And who told you that it's there?
I feel
Huh? Your senses, your emotions, your mind. It appears, but you are not that. You are not that. You see, even those who get aged and all that, somehow they have not necessarily the experience of the age. So what is it? We are surely not the body, not the mind. It appears, and this person will have the same feelings and all, you see, as an expression. But you really die for being free. You are free just now. And know from now that whatever is going on, it is to this appearance which will not change. In that way, I'm not this. Yes? Don't go from here with some dust. Mm. Thank you very much.